Hi everybody, it is Lasha Rayenko, and you've actually reached the channel High Voltage. Welcome to my little book nook. And that's right, I work tonight. And yeah, that's right. I tell you, I have to keep these nails purple. Anyways, I still smell like a shawarma. However, I vowed to read a little bit of Andrew Gold, a little bit every day. So this is Psychology of Secrets. If you hear me calling this Psychology in Seattle, it's because there's a podcast called Psychology in Seattle, and the host's name is Kirk Honda. That's why I keep calling it Psychology in Seattle. It's the Psychology of Secrets written by Andrew Gold. Okay, are you ready? We are going to get right back into where we left off. Okay, and we left off with this sentence. Headley believes that fewer than 10% of Scientologists know about its creation story. This is all about money, he adds. It is also about power and control. But those paths also lead to money. By depriving Scientology of its core secrets, South Park weakened it immeasurably. Even ex-Scientologist Jenna Miscavige Hill, the niece of Scientology leader David Miscavige, admits she first learned about Lord Zunu and the cult's creation story from South Park. That's how tightly extreme authoritarian groups wrap up their secrets. Like The Handmaid's Tale. I'm just going to let him explain. Okay, while Scientology might be making headlines today, the creation stories found in that was a real pause, found in the Abrahamic and ancient Greek cultures, or Aramaic and ancient Greek cultures, show us that humans have long promoted, engaged in, and used secrecy for control and malevolent means. In fact, not only was the Judeo-Christian creation story in favor of secrecy, but, just like Scientology, the Catholic Church grew by depriving believers of knowledge of its scriptures. Catholics had faith of that. They were certain, but in what? They often knew not. After the unified Catholic Church was established in the 4th century AD, explains psychology professor Bernard Starr, the Church actually discouraged the populace from reading the Bible on their own. He explains that this intensified in the Middle Ages with the prohibition of native translations. The teachings of the Bible remained in the hands of an elite few, protecting it from the scrutiny by the masses. Rather than read, study, and dissect, worshippers were only able to hear snippets from the sermons of priests in church and make out what they could from the sculptures and artistic tapestries. Professor Starr believes this secrecy enabled churches to adorn their naves and aisles with classical artwork that depict Jesus and the saints as fair-skinned Northern Europeans living in palatable Romanesque settings. images completely alien to their actual Jewish lives in a rural village in Galilee. He calls this a Christianizing process and an ethnic cleansing of Judaism. Even today, many of us associate the stories from the Bible with, esoteric artworks rather than the actual words of the Bible. Sorry. This is embarrassing, but I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I haven't read out loud in a long time. I have trouble pronouncing Massachusetts. Anyways, okay. Their Christianizing process and an ethnic cleansing of Judaism. Even today, many of us associate the stories from the Bible with ECCLESIASTIAL artworks rather than the actual words of the Bible. Secrecy helped create an image of Christianity that worked for worshipers across Europe and also kept believers coming back to church to listen to the stories. Devotees kept the community active with their regular attendance and supported it with donations while obeying rules that they couldn't even read. Reminds me of The Handmaid's Tale. That dystopian work by Margaret Atwood. Oh, I have so much to say about Candace Owens. I really do. Oh my gosh. She is so indoctrinated in, oh my goodness. In my opinion. Fair use, I can have an opinion about a YouTuber. I admire her. I don't agree with much of what she says, but I think she's a brave woman, but she's also brazen. And there's a difference between being diplomatic and controversial rather than being straight up rude. Like, that woman seems so angry all the time. And why is she not talking about Ye and his alleged R at one of Honeycomb's, Why is she so quiet about it? She unvaulted something because she finally understood what he meant all this time about the elites in Hollywood. Meanwhile, that's called the long con. Talk about a secret. Okay, so at any rate, so donations are giving and devoters give their money while obeying rules, but they can't even read. That's ridiculous. They were trained to be pliable. Yes, pliable. Somebody that you can mold. That's why Jenny Craig would always go for the jugular for young, pretty, ambitious women. And they always turned on each other. I was the regional supervisor, and I have some stories for you about a cult. That was the most prestigious career I've ever had in my life. At any rate, the donations to the Holy See became known as Peter's Pence in the 11th century. Today, the Peter's Pence Charity Fund has been used to buy luxury properties and fund Hollywood movies, to the point that even Pope Francis admitted there was financial corruption within the Vatican. You no longer have to attend a church or synagogue or pay a donation or tax to learn about the Bible or the Torah. Most of the information has become freely available, initially to the extent through the printing press and later via TV and the internet. The PEW Research Center found that In 1976, 91% of Americans identified as Christians. In 2022, after information had become more freely available through advancements in technology, that figure fell to 64%. PEW predicts that Christians could make up as little as 35% of the American population by 2070. So, Candace, you've got your work cut out for you. 35% will be Christians by 2070. She said that never mind. I have to do a whole thing on Candace Owens and some of the things that she said that they sound fantastical. And when she said that she believed that Don Lemon was in a sinful relationship because he's married to a man, she didn't even believe what she was saying. She's rude. She's just rude. Anyway, but I subscribe, I like, I comment, because I think her message should get out. She's got a lot to say. A lot of people agree with her. I do and don't. It's just sometimes her delivery of the information rubs me the wrong way, but, she's just not built that way, You know that I'm just not built that way with Andrew Tate? Yeah. Anyway, okay. You no longer have to, okay. So, but American Christianity will be at 35%. By 2070, there are likely multiple factors involved in the decline of religious belief, but principally, the church has lost its ability to retain secrets, and with that, much of its control over its devotees' lives and money. That's why Tom Cruise won't tell you about Lord Zunu. Tom Cruise. He makes me want to ooze. Many active members of cults and religions deny that they are suppressing knowledge. In his research into the medieval suppression of the Bible, Professor Starr claims that he received a backlash from Catholics, claiming it never happened. In response, he points to various decrees, such as this 13th century ruling from the Council of Tarragona: no one may possess the books of the Old and New Testaments in the Romance language, and if anyone possesses them, he must turn them over to the local bishop within 8 days after the book has to be returned after 8 days or it'll be burned. Sadly, it wasn't just books that were burned in an effort to keep the church's teaches secrets from its acolytes. William Tyndale graduated from Oxford University in the early 1500s before teaching at Cambridge University. There, he fell in with a crowd of humanist scholars and became convinced that all worshippers should have access to the Bible. He went about translating an ancient Greek version of the New Testament to English in 1523, but was forced to flee to England after church authorities caught wind of his intentions. With patronage from affluent London merchants, he traveled to Germany and completed his translation there. The books were then smuggled into England, where they were denounced and banned. Tyndale was captured by authorities while working on the Old Testament in Antwerp. Condemned for heresy, he was executed by strangulation and then burned at the stake. His legacy endured. 18,000 copies of his translated New Testament were printed, and 2 complete volumes remain today. His work served as a model for the King James Version of the Bible that was published in 1611. Why was none of the Bible written by women? Okay, so the King James Version of the Bible was published in 1611. By revealing the truth about a belief system to its worshippers, Tyndale was the South Park of his time. Without the satire, mockery, and celebrity charades, Tyndale was a 16th century Christian prevented from making Christian teachings accessible to other Christians. Mark Headley was a Scientologist convinced he would develop pneumonia should he find out anything about Lord Zunu, and Julia Hart was an ultra-Orthodox Jew whose teacher claimed she could smell the evil emitted by a television. What binds the three are their place in fundamental belief systems, that they have sourced power and domination from secrecy. But what happens when the institutions tighten their iron grip? And how do they use secrecy to sow the seeds of fear in their very soul of a society? Secrecy is the freedom tyrants dream of, said former Director of Council on Foreign Affairs and White House Press Secretary Bill D. Moyers. Since the dawn of recorded history, brutal regimes have used secrets against their citizens. We all know how frustrating it is to be left in uncertainty, COVID as an example. Tyrants and authoritarian secrets know this too, exploiting secrets and hiding information, just as God did with the tree of knowledge. If the dark side of history is as cyclical as a slasher movie on repeat, then secrecy is its unmasked antagonist. Masked antagonist. So we're on page 30. I've had this book for 1 week, and I've read 15 minutes almost every day except for 2 days. So it's right reading and then stopping. So I'm stopping. Have a great night, and I will read more of Ask Not tomorrow. Yeah, bye. Oh, and Meghan Markle trivia November the 1st, don't forget.